Hi, I'm Ben, and I've been listening to music for a very long time. I actually started, I think the first musical memory that I have that I can think of was I was probably about 2 or 3 years old. I lived in Chicago area at the time, and I was riding in the back of my dad's white Chevy pickup truck. It was probably like a 2000 year 2000 pickup truck, and we were on our way to somewhere like Menards, which is like a Home Depot kind of store, and he put in a CD that I had never seen, never knew about, and I remember this music coming on, and it was very like it caught my attention, and I immediately was really just like listening very intently, and the music, it was actually the band CCR, Creedence Clearwater Revival, and it was a greatest hit CD, I think. And I remember hearing Up Around the Bend and Bad Moon Rising, and probably Looking Out Your Back Door, but one that particularly stuck with me at that point was Up Around the Bend, because I listened to it and I thought that John Fogerty was singing Up Around the Bend, like my name, and so I thought the song was about me. That's kind of the addition that I did in my head at that point in time. So that kind of evolved, and my dad listened to a lot of classic rock music, and so he brought me up on that kind of those bands like CCR, and obviously the Beatles, the Eagles, Aerosmith, as a sort of a classic rock one, Led Zeppelin, of course, Jethro Tull, Steve Miller Band, all the big popular classic rock musicians, and that's what I listened to for a lot of my life. And then about in maybe 8th grade-ish, or one of my first years of high school, I started listening to more, genres that were, well, of course, as a kid, I listened to plenty of, hip-hop, and pop of the time, in middle school and stuff, and loved the middle school dance music. But when I listened more intently, it was on my iPod Shuffle. I had a little tiny iPod Shuffle, and I started getting into like a lot of different other genres, if you will, of music, and that eventually brought me to indie rock and indie folk music. There was a band called the Decemberists that I started listening to when I was probably about 8th grade, maybe even earlier, and there was something about the music that was so unique and beautiful, and Colin Meloy's voice was so different than other voices I had heard. And so it really stuck out to me, and I listened to that The King Is Dead album, on repeat all the time. So I got into that for a while, and I still, to this day, they're one of my favorite bands. I also got into indie rock, like the band Radiohead is I would say my favorite band of all time. I could tell you plenty musically and non-musically about the band Radiohead. I know about just about everything there is. Probably not actually, but let's just pretend I do. So after that, I would say that I'm into currently I'm into so much all music, and I'm always hearing new music, and I'm always adding new music to my Spotify artist or whatever. If someone shows me music that's interesting and captivating and engaging, I'll absolutely be on board with it and start listening to it. So